In this video, we're going to go over the top 3 massive problems that people run up against once you cut out them carbs and try to do a ketogenic diet or a carnivore diet. Let's talk about it right now. Welcome everyone to my crazy life, where you take a girl and move her from Hollywood, California to the deep south. I mean, how? With 11 animals, most of them rescues, and horses. Here we go. Top 3 issues that people run up against while trying to do any diet where you cut out your carbohydrates, and that includes keto, carnivore, lion, snake diet. Let's go. Numero uno. Number 1, dehydration. Everyone, and listen to me very well, every single person dropping out their carbohydrates runs up against chronic dehydration. Everyone. So if you're watching people who say that they've done carnivore for 20 years, nonsense, that say that they've done it for years and they've had no problems, it is, in my opinion, that they are not being honest. Basically, they're jerking the chain. They are bamboozling y'all to believe that this is a flawless diet, but it is not. Once you cut out your carbs, your body dumps a bunch of water, including minerals. But this is via the kidneys. But here's the thing. It doesn't stop once you've done it for some years. I've been doing this for 18 years. 18. And the biggest problem that I ran up against was chronic dehydration. And I mean serious problems. Heart palpitations, lack of oxygen, can't get a breath in, buildup of lactic acid, muscle cramps, nausea, vertigo. What else? Headaches, constipation, dry skin. All of this happens when you cut out your carbs for so many years. How do you fix it? You have to have enough sodium, potassium, magnesium. The first thing that you need to learn how to do is balance your electrolyte minerals. And I don't mean in those products, those elixirs, those bamboozle products that often use too much sodium chloride. You need to know how to balance between sodium, magnesium, and potassium. For example, magnesium. Magnesium is going to help fluid remain in the cells. That's what we need the magnesium for. Then we need sodium and potassium to pull the water in and out of the cell, to keep the fluid going in and out, in and out. Without those minerals, you're going to lose a lot of fluid. You're going to urinate more than normal. And most people don't notice it because nobody's counting how many times they go wee. But it never ends. You can do a carnivore diet or a ketogenic diet for a very, very long time, and your electrolytes are always at risk. And I mean always. You can get potassium from avocados. You can get it from meat stock, not bones, but meat broth, like a soup stock, is going to be higher in potassium because you're going to leach out the potassium out of the meat into the water and drink that instead of having to eat gobs and gobs and gobs of meat to access that potassium. Certain plants have potassium, certain cruciferous vegetables, not a lot, but if you're trying to transition off of carnivore and add a little bit of vegetables, then you're going to have that potassium benefit. That's why spinach is so great, but it's got the oxalates. So we go for the avocado. If you have an avocado allergy, then, and if you have a histamine intolerance to all plants to start off with before you start healing that leaking gut, then you can do a potassium supplement for the short term, right? Preferably potassium citrate, which is more gentle on your kidneys. 400 milligrams, 200 in the morning, 200 in the evening with food. That's what you would do for your potassium. Sodium is about a teaspoon or a heaping teaspoon a day, and everyone is different, so these are very general guidelines. Water. Most of you guys are not drinking enough water. You're not. You're just not. And your fizzy bubble water does not count. Too much air and not enough water. Your teas and coffees do not count to hydrate you. So make sure that you get between 2 and 3 liters of water a day throughout the day. Yes. The next thing you want to consider is, drumroll, blood sugar dysregulation. A lot of people go through some type of blood sugar issue because they either eat too much protein, that excess protein converts back into glucose, they're not getting into ketosis, their fats are too low, their protein is too high, and at first people feel great because they're cutting out all the garbage, their insulin drops at first, but then there's this physiological insulin resistance rebound. Now their blood sugar's bouncing like a ball. So that's why carnivore or ketogenic diets work so well in the beginning, but then over time they just don't. Blood sugar gets out of control on these diets. Most people don't eat enough fat. They don't eat enough fat throughout the day. They try to fast and do carnivore, and now their blood sugar's swinging. And the insulin is skyrocketing, or it's too low, or even people who've got a normal insulin. Look at your A1C. That is the telltale number or blood test to check out to understand what's going on with your blood sugar. How do you fix that? Mitigate that? Don't fast. Eat every 3 hours. I know that's not normal in nature, but small amounts with fat every 3 hours will help you get into ketosis and balance that blood sugar. Sleep better. I know. Get that fat into the dermis layers. Be able to, again, make the ketones out of fat. Starts with the dietary fat. Number 3, the third thing that a lot of people run up against, especially on a carnivore diet, not as much on keto, but it does happen, is a histamine freaking explosion or a oxalate dumping explosion, just rebounding, right? The body's dumping oxalates, the body's dumping candida all over the body, and your histamine just goes through the freaking roof. And people just try to do keto harder or carnivore harder. I'm going to actually say 4 because there's also the gallbladder. That's a whole nother video. But the histamine issues really and truly can happen even while doing a low histamine diet. You're trying to do low histamine, and the histamine's getting worse. A lot of people doing carnivore, I know my stupid computer's going to start going off right now. A lot of people doing carnivore will, like I said, eat these mono foods, and then they will just back off even more on plants, and then they're not getting their prebiotic fiber, and then they're not having that short chain fatty acid because short chain fatty acids convert into butyrate, and butyrate helps heal the gut wall, which is why a lot of people do these diets. And you're not going to have that butyrate from meat. You can get a little bit from butter, but it's so small, it's like 2 or 3%. Carnivore people will push carnivore and say that they're perfect, and everybody lies, hides, or doesn't tell you the whole truth. It's just the way it is. I've done it. I know other gurus have done it for certain. But yes, your gut can get worse if you don't reintroduce some of that prebiotic fiber. Plus, without that short chain fatty acid, now diamine oxidase tends to not do its job. It lessens. And so the histamine's going up, and then the diamine oxidase going down. And foods that you once were able to eat, you're no longer able to eat. Now, does this happen to every single person? No. But it happens to most. The very last thing that people run up against, and I mean the majority of people, is the gallbladder. I mean, I'm shocked how many people have either a short experience with poor gallbladder function to extreme blockage and stones and infection and nausea and pain and bloating and shoulder blade pain and feeling just really sick. You can go from just not having an appetite for fat, like you feel full on 2 tablespoons, to literally vomiting on eating 2 tablespoons of fat. Know the symptomology between like the level of problems. You can have stones or sludge where it's all thick and muddy in the gallbladder to where it forms these marbles. Yeah. And a lot of people have an aversion to fat. Now, some people's bodies it works itself out. They feel kind of queasy or at first, and then they feel fine because a lot of people were not eating enough fat, and then that gallbladder starts to thicken, like the cholesterol within the gallbladder starts to just go from condensing and getting thicker to being released, to then break down the fat, to not being released because you're not eating enough fat, to just getting thicker and thicker and forming into stones. That's what I'm trying to say. What do you do about it? Well, you could do things like lemon water, apple cider vinegar, bitters, milk thistle, stinging nettle. You could do malic acid. You could do TIDCA, not ox biles for people who don't have a gallbladder at all, which yes, you can do high fat with no gallbladder. You could do TIDCA. I said TIDCA. Taurine, glycine. Yeah, those are the main ones. You can massage it. You can use castor oil. Those are some solutions. Now each one of these subjects deserves its own full-on like video breakdown. But tonight I'm just going over some of the top 3, actually 4, and what to do. And I'm out. Oh, comment below, share this content. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, subscribe. And if you feel like you're stuck, you don't know what diet to do or how do you transition from one to the other, or if you have any issue whatsoever, you can book a consultation via stephanieperson.com. I also run a course where I cover 3 diets because not everybody can do a starchless diet. Some people need low carb because they just can't stabilize their blood sugar. And some people just can't do carbs at all. I know, it's crazy. My Instagram is Stephanie Ketogenic. Facebook fan page is Stephanie the Business Person. And I'm out because I'm going to edit this. And it is getting too late. I've been doing this for a very long time. I've been doing this for 18 solid years. And I don't just say I've been doing it. Y'all have been watching me for at least 16 of those years. I think I first did my first videos in 2010. And you can see how well this diet has done me as I get older. Just saying. And I'm out. Energy! At 58, how the freaking frack did time go by so fast? Peace.